Hi, friend, and welcome back to Like Us Pod. I'm your host, Erin Jones-Wesley, and today we are doing something a little different. And honestly, I am pretty excited about it. So, if you've been following along all season on the Real Housewives of Beverly Hills and our scorecards, then you already know I'm treating Real Housewives like fantasy football. And now that Beverly Hills season 15 is wrapped, and we know that Rachel Zoe is our most relatable housewife, now let's look into which franchise is the most relatable. So, starting this week, I'm officially keeping score for the Real Housewives of Atlanta and the brand new season of the Real Housewives of Rhode Island. So, going forward, Real Housewives of Atlanta and Real Housewives of Rhode Island recaps will drop every Tuesday since both shows air on Sundays. But today is our entry point. So, I'm going to catch everyone up on where the scorecard stands so far on Rhode Island and Atlanta. And we're also going to get into the Real Housewives of Beverly Hills reunion, which there is no score keeping there. We're just going to reflect on what we're seeing because there's a lot to talk about. I didn't realize how often the women on Real Housewives of Beverly Hills were speaking badly about each other in the confessionals, but I actually think it's making the reunion somehow more compelling than even the show was because now they have to confront each other based off what they saw in the confessionals. Anyways, I'm getting ahead of myself. We will talk about that later on in the episode. But first, let's get into this week's Hot Mic Confessional. So I know that some of y'all are watching Summer House, and I know that, like, if you're like me, you've also been like peeking on all of the Summer House drama. Now, we haven't been talking about Summer House too much on the podcast. I did say that this is my first season really watching the show, being in the Summer House community. And that, like, right off the bat, and this is before the Sierra stuff started, right off the bat, I always thought that Amanda was someone that looked untrustworthy, and it was just because she had, like, bad posture. Now, look, if you have, like, scoliosis or, there's a reason why you have bad posture, I'm not talking about you. I think as a woman, you have to be careful about being around insecure women, period. I strongly believe that. I have vocalized this for years. I don't like being friends with people who have such strong insecurities for a few reasons, but mostly because, one, their ability to betray you because they're already betraying themselves is so high. And two, if they don't feel good about themselves and you do feel good about yourself, they're going to always be trying to covet what you have because the thing that you have, they don't, which is the self-confidence, right? So that looks like them trying to like step in and take things that don't belong to them. I saw that in Amanda very quickly based off her body language. Never really felt like she was a trustworthy person. And then she did what she did with Sierra. The latest news with Summer House, though, is that someone leaked an audio recording of what happened at the reunion. Now, listen, some people are saying like Bravo leaked it because they know that the fans are ravenous and they want information. And this was the best case to tell them that to tell us, like the fans, that they are going to get into these really heavy conversations. But from what I heard from that audio, Mia's coming after Amanda. Pow, pow. She said, "You're a side chick. You went from a married woman to a side chick to West." Love to hear it. We hear Sierra calling Amanda out. We hear Amanda trying to basically say that she's not in the wrong because she was separated. And when you're separated, that means that you're allowed to sleep with your friend's ex. I don't think that's how it works, Amanda. Anyways, if you haven't heard the audio recording, it is a mess. I'm not going to share it here. Go find it online. I just feel like, not to be like, oh, I'm holier than thou, but I do feel like there is some integrity to production. And Bravo did come out with a statement saying that they're going to get to the bottom of it. They're going to find out who leaked the statement. And that person, people are saying, has already been fired. I don't know what happened. The thing is people are saying that it's a cast member, and I don't think it's a cast member because, like, I don't think anyone is fumbling the bag that hard, except for maybe Amanda and West, but I don't think they're trying to fumble the bag that hard. I don't think anyone on the cast leaked it. It was probably someone who was, like, maybe, like, a part of crew, trying to get a payday. Who knows? Maybe it was Bravo. We will never know. I will say, though, what I do know is that we are going to watch the reunion. We're going to watch the reunion, and we're going to be judging, because there's a lot going on in Summer House. Okay, we have so much to pack into the show, so let's move on into what we're going to cover first, which is where we are in the scorecard for Real Housewives of Rhode Island. So, warning, I need to have this warning, which is I'm still getting a couple of these ladies confused. And no shade. Rosie and Kelsey, I have watched these episodes a couple times because, I had to go back and keep score. And even in going back to keep score, I realized I still am getting Rosie and Kelsey a little confused. Bear with me. Liz and Alicia, I'm also getting them mixed up sometimes. So I'm sorry, it will get better over the course of the season. But it did take me a beat in Salt Lake City to know Meredith Marks and Lisa Barlow apart as well. So like that's just the warning in Rhode Island, okay? Bear with me. So the episode starts at Joellen, and Joellen is packing for a work trip. And she says that the stay-at-home mom, stay-at-home wife vibe just isn't for her. She likes to work. And, you know, I did like to see Joellen talking about that. You guys should know about Joellen is that she has a relatability point almost every single episode so far. I think in episode 4, I don't know if she gets a relatability point because she kind of just like goes off. We don't see her that much. Joellen has so far, she already has a point almost every single episode. Then we get to Liz's house, and Liz is with Dolores, and she's saging her house. And I did feel like this was relatable because sometimes you do need to pull out the sage. It's like if you're having a series of bad dreams, if things are going on, sometimes you do need to just like sage your house really quick. Liz realizes that maybe she shouldn't have lost her shit at Kelsey, but she also clocks Kelsey's tea about Dino. And every time they talk about Dino, I don't know if you guys are 90s kids who grew up watching Hey Arnold, but I think about Dino Spumoni.
I keep paintings on the walls. Darling, pow, I'll smash them all.
Pow, darling, those pictures on the wall. Like it just, Dino Spumoni was like a Dean Martin and Frank Sinatra copy. From the kids show Hey Arnold, and every time they're like Dino, I'm like, are they talking about Dino Spumoni? Anyways, if you can't tell, we're just hopping right into episode 4. So like I'm trusting you guys have watched 1, 2, and 3. We're getting right into 4. Okay, so we go Oceanside, and the ladies are all sitting on the beach, and Alicia brings out pizza chips, and Ashley brings up a very astute observation that no one wants to eat pizza without cheese. Alicia's like, yeah, I always wanted these pizza chips. And I always wanted pizza on the beach. When you go to the beach with the pizza, the cheese is soggy. So I created these chips, and it's just pizza. That's just the sauce. And Ashley's like, who wants pizza without the cheese? And she got a like us point for that too. Another thing you guys should realize about Rhode Island is they're getting a lot of like us points. They're so relatable. And I think it might be because they're new. And so they're just sharing so much about themselves. And I feel like what I learned in Beverly Hills is like the points really come out the more the women share about themselves. Okay, anyways. Ashley says that RHOA was a part of a cheatation back in the day. She says that the reason why RHOA and her husband have this problem is because RHOA was the other woman to Alicia, Spanish teacher. And what I'm loving about Rhode Island is that they do have this like amazing ability to know so much backstory on each other. And I love when they bring it up. Like the fact that RHOA was the other lady to Alicia's Spanish teacher is amazing with that strong accent learning Spanish. Like, I'm like, is this her high school Spanish teacher? Was she learning Spanish as an adult? We don't know. Is Alicia fluent in Spanish? We don't know. I don't know anything. All we know is that Rula was the other woman. Kelsey explains the situation with Liz to Alicia and to Ashley and to the ladies that are, on the beach. And Alicia says that Liz does have a dark side. And it's a thing that they've always known about Liz, even since they were kids. We then move on to Joellen's house. And Joellen's not at home because she's on this work trip, but her sister's there. And it's weird. They have like a weird sister wives thing going on. Like the sister's flirting with the husband. She kind of has a lot of cleavage for helping out the house. Joellen's like, I don't care. You got to keep it in the family. Maybe he touched her boobs once. And you're like, what? It's like it's giving Salt Lake City. You know what I mean? Like, I don't know what's going on there. Whatever. I'm glad they're all happy. Alicia is having a party, and Liz and Rula come over to the party, and Ashley's invited too. And she says this is the first time that she's out without her emotional support human, which I think is Kelsey or Rosie. And look, I know everyone who watches The Bachelor, like Bachelor Nation, don't come after me, but I know you guys all love Ashley. I didn't watch The Bachelor, so I have no emotional ties to this woman. And so when I say this, I am saying it with love, but I'm confused by the hairstyle. She's like, her hair is like, she's doing like Baby Spice hair to this party. That's like a luncheon. I love spice buns, but I don't know if this would have been the hairstyle. Like, I was confused. That's all I'm saying. I was confused. Alicia then shares that she's essentially in a financially abusive relationship. Her name isn't on the house, and that she and her husband they've been engaged for 9 years or 8 years. They have a 9-year-old kid. She's like, yeah, he's not ready to be a partner. And it's like, what do you mean he's not ready for a partnership commitment when y'all have a kid together? And this is the thing. People talk about this online. They're like, oh, marriage is such a commitment, such a commitment. It's like, no, a kid is a commitment. Raising a human being is a commitment. And I just feel like what I liked about this scene is that it felt like it was like all about girl empowerment. Like all of the women that are in Alicia's family, like they're saying like, hey, like your guys got to do better and we want better for you. Now we get to Ashley and Rosie. They're having a solo friend hang. And what I like here is that Rosie is saying that she doesn't know if she wants to have kids one day. But I love that Ashley is like giving her friend support in this moment and being like, you know, you'll come to the right decision when you come to the right decision. Kelsey and Liz are hanging out while Liz is getting her boat cleaned, and they talk about kind of the big blowout that happened at the 4th of July party, and they talk about Dino. And I'm honestly, I'm curious if we're ever going to have a moment where we mic Dino up. I think we need to get Dino a confessional. Let's get that red light on in front of Dino because I need to hear what he has to say because they're talking about him a lot. The girls kiss and make up, but Dino is looming in the background. Now we have a big group hang. Everyone is together. And Rosie says this, and I love her. She says, you have to do a workout a day. And then she quotes Elle Woods that exercise gives you endorphins. Endorphins make you happy, and happy people just don't shoot their husbands. They just don't. And that was a like us point because that's so real. Rosie then shares in the card that she had colitis from Ozempic. And Liz says that that's not why Rosie left because Rosie's trying to be like, oh, I left my job because of, you know, health reasons, blah, blah, blah. And Liz is like, no, Rosie was sleeping with the higher up. And she got fired. Just like, why do they know so much about each other's business? I'm loving that Rhode Island, they know so much about each other. They know so much. And it doesn't feel like sometimes on the other shows, it's like, oh, I heard. It's like, they're not even saying I heard. They're just like, this is the truth. I love it. Rula is on the side making tequila drink roadies for this cycling tour they're about to do. Alicia says that she loves to work out and she loves the Jane's Fonda. I love the Jane's Fonda. And I felt like that was also a like us point because I do love a workout video. I love a YouTube workout video. Rosie asks Liz about Ashley and then immediately, like as soon as they're done parking, she's like, oh, so what do you think about Ashley? And then like they go sit around the fire and then she's like, Ashley, this is what Liz thinks about you. It was like peak Housewives. That was great housewifery for Rosie. The ladies all sit around, they're eating charcuterie, they're drinking wine, and it gets back into Alicia having a bad situation with her husband, Bill, and they're like, Alicia, we need to help you. And I love this moment. It reminded me of the movie Crossroads. Have you ever seen the Shonda Rhimes cinematic masterpiece starring Britney Spears and Zoe Saldana called Crossroads? And in that movie Crossroads, they try to help Mimi, who's played by Taryn Manning. They try to help Mimi, talk to the father of her children, the father of her child. And Zoe Saldana is like telling her, this is how you need to approach the man. And I felt like in this role play situation with Alicia, it just was reminding me of the movie Crossroads because then Rosie steps in and she's like, pretend that I'm Bill. And I hope that through Alicia being on this show, she gets a new man. Like, I know it's a father of her child. I get it. I'm sure she loves this man. But I just feel like she needs a new man or she needs Bill to step up and see her as like a full human. I don't know. The whole scene, though, was giving real sisterhood, and I like that. But in true Housewives fashion, 2 seconds later, they're yelling at each other. Liz starts recalling her fight with Kelsey and why it got heated. Liz also says that this is why she doesn't get close to people because then she gets disappointed, which valid. Then Rosie starts being messy and she's like, Alicia, isn't this what you were saying about Liz? Weren't you saying this? And I am team Alicia because Rosie was being messy and Alicia flips. She's like, don't do that. You don't want to start stuff with me. Like she gets crazy. But I feel like Alicia's right because there's nothing worse than a person who tries to twist and manipulate your words to another person. I remember this time I was talking to somebody and I was like, oh yeah, like me and my sister, we're the same, but we're also a little bit different, which like you guys hear on our podcast. And I said that to someone and then they meet my sister and they go, your sister's not that bad. And I'm like, why are you making it sound like I was talking crap, you weirdo? People are weird. And I think that is manipulative behavior. And when people do stuff like that, you do have to clock them. And I appreciate that Alicia was like, Rosie, I am cool with you, but I'm not cool with you trying to manipulate my words and make it seem like I said something I didn't say. And then in her confessional, Alicia says she's a sensitive gangster. And I like that. I think that's real. She gets a like us point. And that's really at the end of the episode. Now, mind you, this is our first recap, but I did go back and do all the points. So as of right now, Alicia's in the lead. She has 3 like us moments, and she has 15 points overall. She's tied with Rosie. Rosie and Alicia are tied in first place with 15 points. Joellen, who I said had been getting points almost every episode, she didn't get any points in episode 3 or in episode 4. But Joellen and Liz are tied in second place with 2 moments each. They have 10 points each. Then we have third place, which is Kelsey and Ashley. They're tied for third with 1 moment, 5 points each. And Rula and Dolores, because I do count the friends of Rula and Dolores, they don't have points yet, but it still is very early on. And honestly, it still is anyone's match. I will keep keeping score, and you can stay tuned here. Real Housewives of Atlanta, like us points. Let's get into episode 3 recap. Episode 4 will be airing on Sunday. There will be a recap on Tuesday. Just saying. Okay, so as of right now, I'm just going to say what I'm liking about this series so far is I do like that Real Housewives of Atlanta feels so lighthearted. Now, it's been a while since I've dove into watching every single episode of Atlanta. Now, I was an Atlanta faithful back in the day, you know, when it was in its golden era with Nene and Phaedra and Kenya and Portia and Cynthia and that cast, even when Kim was on the show. I was tried and true Real Housewives of Atlanta fan. I kind of stepped away for a few years, and now I'm back. I like this cast. I feel like they are gelling. I know some people are not crazy about Pinky Cole. I know some people aren't crazy about Kelly. I'm going to be an objective viewer, and I'm just going to call it like I see it, okay? So you can trust I'm just calling it like I see it. I'm not anyone's stan. I'm going to say that, okay? So starting off in episode 3 for this recap, we start with K. Michelle, and she's recovering from surgery, which was due from an infection to a BBL gone wrong. She gathers herself so she doesn't look like what she's going through, and she meets the girls at the nail salon. And she gets a like us point right off the bat because she says, you should never look like what you're going through. And look, is that not a word? Because we might face defeats, but we will not be defeated. And I think that you never look what you're going through is just as powerful as that. Now, something I do need to say about K. Michelle, she has gotten a like us point every single episode. So that's just something to know about K. Michelle, because I just think, and I know people come in with a lot of preconceived notions about her too, because they watched her on her former reality shows, Love and Hip Hop, you know, she did Queen's Court. I'm not coming in with any K. Michelle baggage, right? I know her because I've seen her on social media a little bit. People talk about her on social media a little bit. But as I said before, I'm coming in objectively on all these women. And so if you have mess to share about them, please let me know in the comments. But I'm not looking for the mess. I don't know it. Okay. So K. Michelle, she's got a point every single episode. And she started off episode 3 with a point. Now, Portia is talking about her beef with Kelly. And honestly, it's like, I'm a little interested in this, but I'm not that interested in it. You know, like Portia and Kelly have beef, whatever. Then we go to Shamea's family, and she's walking her kids to school, and she's telling her husband that she's going to invest in this rum company. And I don't like that the husband's not that supportive. I feel like it's whack. He gets on the Zoom call, though, and he like starts asking all the questions. And then I'm like, okay, well, maybe he is being supportive. This is just his way of showing support. Shamea says her man really isn't into her being in the rum business, but she really is. And then she tells him, she said, this could retire us. And it's like, I don't know who's drinking rum like that, Shamea. Like, I don't know. Maybe your man has a point. Like what's the product market fit for rum drinkers and Housewives fans? I'm just asking the questions. We go to Pinky Cole, and man, Pinky's dealing with a lot of financial stuff. Like, man, it's rough. She says that she didn't think that her story would be this way, and she's crying and she's upset because, you know, her CFO was taking money from the business, and she has all these lawsuits, and she bought the business back. But when she bought the business back, it was just a mess. And Pinky does seem like she's in financial disarray. But you know what? Maybe we'll all learn some business jargon from watching Pinky Cole. Who knows? We then see K. Michelle and Cynthia. They go to a meal, and Pinky also shows up to this meal. And K. Michelle and Pinky are sorority sisters. They're deltas. They're HBCU queens. Now, look, I didn't pledge a sorority, but I know some people who did. You know, I have aunties who were deltas and cousins who were AKAs, and I know it's all a very big deal. Look, I played softball in college. I was not in a sorority. Being a college athlete is a whole different thing. It is similar to being in a sorority, but I would say the biggest difference between being a college athlete and being in a sorority is like, you know, people talk crap. They go, sorority is like you're paying for your friends, blah, blah, blah. But at least you're picking your friends. When you're a college athlete, you're not really picking your friends that much. You're kind of just like forced in a group with people, and then the proximity makes you friends, which is a very different thing than being in a sorority. I love all my softball friends though. Like, you know, but it's just different. It is different. So they say that they've been friends for a while because they are both sorority sisters. Very cute. We then see that they start asking K. Michelle, like, what's the deal with your tweets? Like, who are you talking to? She calls Portia a bimbo. She doesn't outright say that Portia's a bimbo, but she says, I'm tired of bimbos, which, like, I think we need to bring that word back. Because like, usually, like, when I think of the word bimbo, I think of the Paris Hilton, Britney Spears, Lindsay Lohan photo on the New York Post where they called it the Bimbo Summit because they were talking crap about those girls being together. I usually think of a bimbo as like a blonde lady. And K. Michelle is like, Portia's a bimbo. And I don't know if she's wrong. And I love Portia. But Portia's also the girl who was like, where is the tracks for the Underground Railroad? Like, you know, like it's not giving scholar. I'm just saying. So then Portia starts reading K. Michelle's tweets, and they kind of do like a spoof of what they used to do on Jimmy Kimmel, which is like mean tweets, celebrities reading mean tweets, but they just read K. Michelle's toxic tweets. And Cynthia does try to smooth it over, and she tells K. Michelle, like, hey, Portia just says dumb stuff sometimes. You know, like, I think maybe you figure it out. Pinky then says at this dinner that she has beef with Phaedra. And she has beef with Phaedra because Phaedra has been starting a rumor that Pinky eats meat, which I think is actually arguably a very hilarious rumor. Very funny. I kind of like it. Like about a vegan eater. Like it's like, apparently it's not harmless because Pinky's on the board of PETA and blah, blah, blah. But like, do you remember who was it? Was it on Real Housewives of Beverly Hills where they were like, someone was like, oh, I'm a vegetarian, but they eat pork, like they eat bacon. Was it Diana Jenkins was like, yes, I'm vegetarian, but like I do eat bacon. It's like the same thing. Maybe, you know, like sometimes when people are vegan, they do sneak some cheese in there sometimes. So like maybe it's you know, I don't know. I'm not trying to get into Pinky's bag, but I do think it's a funny rumor to talk about. Drew goes to dinner with this guy named Black. And I was looking at Black's teeth, and I couldn't decide. Do you guys think Black has veneers, or are those his teeth? Because part of me feels like those are like the teeth of someone who wears their retainers often. You know, like when you have that fresh retainer smile. But then, I don't know, my husband was like, I think those are veneers. I don't think those are his teeth. But Black is over there spitting game at Drew. He's like, look, what am I doing this for? I'm waiting for you to get divorced, girl. And I'm like, who is this Black guy? I went on his Instagram because I was curious. I'm like, who is this man? And to me, the very first picture on his Instagram, he looks like a little dorky. But then the outfit he was wearing on the show was not. So I don't know. I think Black's a poser. Time will tell. But I do think it's refreshing to see a housewife date so openly. I think it's very cute. I wish we got more housewives dating openly on all franchises. I think it's adorable. Angela says, because we cut to Angela, and Angela says that she's just looking for a win. She's had a lot of losses over the year. And, you know, she's just looking for a win. She's looking for something good to happen. So she wants to flip a house. And you guys, I literally clutched my pearls when I saw that this house was $159,000 in Decatur. I'm from California. I'm from LA. I don't think a house has cost $159,000 in Southern California since like 1996. I don't think that a house should be an emotional purchase. Like, I appreciate the idea of looking for a win, but it does feel like she's making this business decision based on emotion, and that never feels like the right way to go into a business dealing. It seems like the house does need a lot of work, but at $159,000, that's pretty inexpensive. I can't believe the house cost that little. Oh my God, should I move to Atlanta? I'm not moving to Atlanta. Shamea is in her business meeting for the rum, and I swear the rum people, you guys, when they show when they showed these rum people on the screen, I was like, did they cast for this? Was there a casting for the rum business meeting on Real Housewives of Atlanta? Because these people look like they came straight out of Central Casting. She wants the rum bottle. Also, you guys, I don't know if Shamea's like, look, business hasn't always been my thing. And the more she starts talking about this rum business, the more I'm worried for her. I'm worried for Shamea, and I want her to get out of the rum business immediately, because she's like, I want the bottle to be my bum. Look, I'm not in the Atlanta mess, but like, is Shamea's bum famous? Does she have a famous bum? I know that Shamea is famous because she was the Atlanta Hawks girl, you know, in the arena, which is a very cool job to have in a big market. And so I know that's why Shamea is, you know, known, prominent. But is it a famous bum? And why does the bottle need to be a bum? I don't think it's like, I'm on Shamea's husband's side about this. I'm on Shamea's husband's side. And then she's like, oh, I want it to be peach flavored rum. And then they're like, the peaches don't grow in Granada. And I'm like, I just feel like Shamea should have went into the Google and just did a little bit more research. We're going to keep our eyes and ears open on this. Pinky and Derek are at dinner, and I feel like this relationship, I like that they're in the restaurant business together. I think that's very cute. I think it's wild that they got pregnant and married and then now they're dating. Like, she's like, we didn't really date because we got pregnant 3 months later and then they've just had kids back to back to back, which means that they really like each other, I guess, which is not a good thing. Like, like I'm happy for her. But also I'm like, dang, girl, slow down, grab the wall. Like, anyways, that was what Pinky was doing. Now Portia and K. Michelle meet up and Portia apologizes. And she also goes like, I don't know, maybe it wasn't good that you saw the way I came for Kelly because now you thought I was coming for you that way. And it's like, Portia, let's be real, you were being messy. But she does apologize. And then she realizes that like maybe she was doing too much. And K. Michelle tells Portia that she was wrong. Now, if you need to remember, the thing that happened is that K. Michelle had the surgery for the BBL gone wrong. But she's also been on the side trying to have a baby with her new husband. Portia, when she sees K. Michelle, she asks her, oh, did you have a miscarriage? And K. Michelle's like, look, miscarriage is a very sensitive topic, and you're talking about it way too flippantly. And I kind of see where Portia's coming from. Not that I've had a miscarriage, but like I can see that Portia's like, I've had miscarriages, and I've had them so many times that to me, it doesn't feel like it's that sensitive of a conversation because I'm in those conversations so often. K. Michelle is like, you don't know if I've had a miscarriage or not, but why would you say that when I told you what the issue was? And why didn't you remember what the issue was? And why are you talking about something that is so near and dear to me so flippantly? So I think that they both are coming from the right perspective. I do think Portia should have been more sensitive. I think that she was not. And K. Michelle tells Portia she was wrong. And, they both kind of laugh about being reformed crash outs. They go, look, I'm a reformed crash out. So I'm not trying to crash out on nobody. And I think that's right. So that's where we end the episode. That's where we end both of them. It seems like a lot of people have been talking about who's right, who's wrong with K. Michelle, with Portia. I'm just glad that K. Michelle is talking about this BBL gone wrong because I do think this is the right audience to be speaking about this because so many people go do these surgeries, these enhancement surgeries in ways that are not from places that care about the ethics and how they're going about it. And so I wish that K. Michelle doesn't have to deal with this for the rest of her life. I hope that there's a way for her to get better. That's the end of the episode. Let's look into the scorecards. Okay, so mind you, this is our first recap, but I did go back to do all of the scorecards. K. Michelle is in first place with 20 points. That's 4 moments, okay? She's had 4 moments so far. That she's had a like us point every single episode thus far. This episode, it was her saying like, don't look like what you're going through. So she also got a point for saying that sometimes you just got to pop out and show them. That was in episode 2. And then I liked that in episode 1, when she got invited to the dinner, she said, who's all coming? Because aren't we all asking who's all coming? Now, Angela's in second place. She has 10 points, 2 moments. And her moments were, I liked that her and Phaedra had their beef at Drew's premiere and that she just was like, look, let's nip it in the bud. They talked about it and then she got over it on some grown woman shit. I like that. And then in episode 3, Angela's saying that she's looking for a win after a loss. I mean, who amongst us hasn't like gone through a low season and you're just like, I'm just looking for some good news and trying to create that good news. I like that she's, putting herself in the driver's seat. So she gets a point for that. Now, tied in third place is Portia and Shamea. Portia got a point at the end of the episode. I liked her and K. Michelle both saying that they're reformed crash outs. As a reformed party girl and also probably a reformed crash out myself, that just felt relatable. Sometimes you live and you learn, you grow, and then you know. Shamea has 5 points. By the way, Portia saying that she's a reformed crash out, that was her first like us point of the season, so that got her on the scorecard. Shamea got her first like us point in episode 1 when she gave the college box to Kelly's daughter and it had like all the things she felt like a college kid would actually need. I just felt like that was relatable because like when my friends' kids go to college, I'm gonna be that cool auntie. Like it's like, what do you really need, girl? What do you really need? Let me help you out. So that was relatable for Shamea. For the rest of the ladies, as of right now, Drew, Phaedra, Pinky, Kelly, and Cynthia, who is the friend of, are not on the board yet, but it's still early and it's anyone's match. Now let's take a quick break and we're going to get into Real Housewives of Beverly Hills. I need y'all to tag me so I get a sponsor. Okay, now let's get into Real Housewives of Beverly Hills. Now, listen, this is going to be really quick because we aren't doing like us points for the reunion. We are just talking about what we see, calling it like we see it. And in this reunion, we start out, there's a Bentley on the stage, and Andy does what we all thought he would do. He says, this is what I'm manifesting today. What I thought that was funny is that Dorit comes in after Sutton, Kyle, and Erica and Bose, and she says hi to everybody. She like greets everyone on the stage, and Kyle doesn't respond. And it reminded me of what happened with Garcelle when Garcelle walked out and she said hi, everyone, and then Kyle doesn't respond. And I hate when people don't respond. It's so rude. I used to work in an office, and like I used to come into the office and be like a normal person, like, hi, good morning, everyone. Like, hi, good morning, and like would greet people. And I had a who would like literally walk past my desk every day and go straight to her office, and she would never say good morning. Like, she just wouldn't greet in the morning. And I just like, that's weird. Like, it's so weird to like not greet people when you arrive to your workplace. Bad energy, toxic environment. Erica says at the beginning that she doesn't think there will be a resolution. Kyle says she's hopeful for a resolution. We already know based off of their interviews that there is no resolution and that Erica and Dorit they haven't made up yet, but we'll see what happens over the course of the reunion. Then we get into how everyone's doing, and we get the Rachel Zoe package. And I thought it was really cute that Bose and Rachel Zoe were like holding hands during the package. And someone on Threads was like, that's fake. And it's like, what do you mean it's fake? They're obviously holding hands. What, is it AI? Like, what are you talking about? Well, they're literally holding hands and they're friends. They said from the whole... everyone makes me so mad because I feel like people online are just like such haters. It's like, Bose and Rachel Zoe go into the show saying that they're friends with each other. They said that they met on a podcast and they've been friends ever since. I don't know why they wouldn't be friends. I don't know why you would think that they're being fake by holding hands. Like, I feel like some of you guys don't have real friends in your life and have never had a real friendship, and it shows. Andy says, after Rachel Zoe has her package, we talk about that her kids love her. And afterwards, then Andy says, you know, with the husband in prison and $25 million lawsuit. And like, Erica just starts laughing because she's like, obviously you're talking about me. Like, you know, this is like, her life is so tragic. Found interesting about the Erica package is she says that Tom told her in the beginning that he didn't think she was going to get the job of Real Housewives of Beverly Hills. And I actually distinctly remember in her book and on the show that she never mentioned this before. Now, she did mention that when she was looking over the contract, Tom was like, there's no point in negotiating your contract because you're lucky you have the job. And like, okay, I could see how that's someone who also didn't think she was going to get the job in the first place. But then she also starts talking about that she feels like it was weird that when he came to her shows and when he was on the show, he would play the role of the doting husband. And now in hindsight, she goes, I don't know if it was real or if it was an act. And now she starts thinking it could have been an act because he never read her book and he never saw her on Broadway. It's funny. I was just at the LA Festival of Books, and Cassie David, who is Larry David, the actor, his daughter, she wrote a book. And she also mentioned that no one in her life read her book either. And so I don't know, like, I don't know if it's weird or not. Like, sometimes people they just know that that's your thing and maybe they want to give you space from it. And so I don't know if it's as deep, but maybe it is that deep. I don't know. Like, who knows? Erica says at the time she didn't think it was weird because she was writing for Tom very hard. But now in hindsight, she thinks that, you know, it was hurtful. I think the thing that is more hurtful is that she was on Broadway, which was her lifelong dream, and that he didn't go see her on Broadway. I felt like that was odd. Andy then asks Dorit why she didn't know what Erica was going through, even though it was so public. And they start talking a little bit about that, but then Kyle jumps in, and no one was talking to Kyle. And by the way, like, and I think I've said this all season, it's not that I'm anti-Kyle. It just feels like she's doing a lot to be mean to Dorit. And I feel like the actions that Kyle has taken to be mean to Dorit are actually more long-term hurtful to Dorit than Dorit's actions to Kyle. And I wish that Kyle would stop. I just wish she would stop. Erica then talks about that her son loves her new man, that she's not going to go visit Tom, and that she still has so many lawsuits that she has to deal with. We then get into the chaos of Erica and Dorit, kind of. I think it's like a taste for what will come. We then get into Kyle and Dorit, and I feel like this is also round one of Kyle and Dorit. Dorit tries to, and I actually appreciated this. It was very like Real Housewives of Atlanta coded. Dorit tries to go down the line to be like, what did you say about me? What did you say about me? What did you say about me? And the thing is Kyle doesn't even let her. She actually stops her from doing that. And I would have appreciated Dorit finishing, because when she asks Amanda, did you mention these things? And Amanda's like, no. And she was going to ask Sutton. And Kyle's like, oh, and she stops it from happening. But the thing is I think the truth is that no one would have said that they started the conversation with Kyle. That is what would have happened. Period. I think it's suspect. Then the conversation about Dorit's finances come up, and we hear Kyle be like, we're in a different financial situation. I just feel like it's tacky to do that on TV. She then says that PK will pay the house note, and then she's going to have to sell the house. And everyone's like, well, you need to have a plan. And it's like, why don't they ask her what her plan is instead of telling her that she needs to have one? It's like, you're not asking her anything. You're just dictating what Dorit needs to do with her life. And I hate it. And then also, by the way, people are like, Dorit talks too much. It's like, honestly, Dorit never gets to finish what she wants to say. So maybe she would talk less if she got to finish her points ever, without getting derailed. We then go to the money queen, Amanda Francis. And Amanda's like, I wasn't trying to brag about stuff. And her and Bose get into it a little bit. And the ladies try to give Amanda pointers on how to not emasculate her husband, but she doesn't care. She's like, I don't care. He wasn't emasculated. I don't care. I do feel like Erica Jane is at her best when she's giving people like life advice. Like, not that Erica is so like sage and wise, but I do feel like Erica Jane will be a good grandma one day. That's what I feel about her. She'll be a good grandma one day. Amanda and Bose kind of wrap it. My favorite thing about Bose in this moment is that she's like, my courses come from a real class that I taught at Harvard for 3 semesters. I'm not trying to peddle money, Amanda. And Amanda's like, I am trying to make money, which, like, yeah, good for her. She owns it. That's her truth. We didn't really get anywhere, but what I will say, and I said this at the top of the episode, I liked that in this reunion, we're able to hear the ladies kind of confront one another about their confessionals. And I think that that's important because during the show they can't. And also during the show, it like prevents there being real conflict because they're all scared of each other and they don't say anything to each other's faces. So we'll see what happens in part 2. Jennifer Tilly will come out. Kathy Hilton will come out. It'll be interesting. There are no like us points for Beverly Hills because we already know where they landed on the season. But stay tuned on Tuesday where I will keep going with the Rhode Island recap and the Real Housewives of Atlanta recap. And also, the Like Us podcast is fully back April 30th, our first episode where me and Danielle, my sister, will be talking about pop culture news and everything in the headlines and in the zeitgeist. So stay tuned there. Those episodes will be released on Thursday on Spotify, Apple Music, and on our YouTube channel. Thanks so much for listening, and I will chat with you guys real soon. Bye.